Hey, welcome back to F1 Sparks. In 70 years of Formula One, we've never seen anything quite like this. Two teammates, both disqualified from the same race, one loses his championship cushion, the other gains a mathematical advantage. Oscar Piastri went to bed Sunday night in third place, woke up Monday morning level with Max Verstappen. Same points, same target, Lando Norris. And here's the kicker, there's only 58 points left to fight over. This is brand new territory, and by the end of this video you'll understand why Qatar might be the most important race of Oscar's entire career. Stick around because the numbers tell a wild story. So McLaren rocked up to Las Vegas with Lando Norris sitting pretty with what should have been a 30-point lead after the race. Both McLarens crossed the line, Norris in second behind Verstappen, Piastri in seventh. Job done, championship looking solid for Lando, right? Wrong, because a few hours later, the FIA drops an absolute bombshell. Both McLarens are disqualified for excessive skid block wear. Gone, wiped from the results, 0 points. Now initially, this looks catastrophic for McLaren. They've just handed Max Verstappen a win on a silver platter and lost 33 points between both drivers. But here's where it gets interesting for Oscar. Before the disqualification, he was 30 points behind Norris. After it, just 24 points, and more importantly, and this is the crucial bit, he's now dead level with Max Verstappen at 366 points each. Think about what that means. Oscar's gone from being third in the championship, needing to catch both Norris and Verstappen, to being joint second. He's now on equal footing with a three-time world champion who was 104 points behind after the Dutch Grand Prix in late August. Verstappen's mounted one of the most incredible comebacks in F1 history, and now Oscar's right there with him, both hunting down Lando with just 58 points left on the table between Qatar and Abu Dhabi. The mathematics are actually quite simple now. Norris needs to outscore both of them by just 2 points over the Qatar weekend to seal the championship. He can do it by finishing in the top 6 of the sprint on Saturday and winning Sunday's Grand Prix. But here's the thing, that's easier said than done when you've got two absolutely rapid drivers breathing down your neck. And one of them is your own teammate who's been told by Andrea Stella to find his will to win. Yeah, McLaren's team principal actually said that. Oscar needs to go into these final two races with the will to win them. That's not exactly subtle, is it? The Australian hasn't won since the Dutch Grand Prix back in August. Norris has finished ahead of him in the last 7 races straight. But now, with him and Max level on points, there's this perfect storm brewing. Oscar can win the championship if he can somehow overturn a 24-point deficit, which is basically a race win plus a sprint victory. And let's talk about what actually happened in Vegas, because the race itself was mental. Norris started on pole, Verstappen second, lights out, and Lando gets way too aggressive trying to defend into turn 1. He crowded Max towards the wall on the left, but completely overshot the corner, ran wide, and basically opened the door for Verstappen to sweep through. George Russell also got past. Verstappen's engineer later told him on the radio that Norris had been instructed to come and get you after he passed Russell on lap 35. Max's response? He laughed. Proper laughed about it. He told the media afterwards, "It only motivates me. It only works adversely. It only motivates me to defend even harder." Classic Verstappen mind games, really. And here's the kicker. Instead of closing that 5-second gap, Norris actually started losing time, lap after lap. Started with a 10th here and there, but by the end of those 15 laps, Max had pulled over 20 seconds clear. Analysis suggests Norris was fuel critical, running out of juice basically, which explains why he couldn't push. Meanwhile, Oscar had his own drama. Liam Lawson absolutely barged into him at turn 1, wheel-to-wheel contact that left Oscar genuinely impressed. He still had all 4 wheels attached. Lawson had to swerve to avoid George Russell, who was avoiding Carlos Sainz, and in doing so, smashed into Piastri's McLaren. The Racing Bulls driver copped front wing damage that ended his race, but got away with no penalty whatsoever. Oscar wasn't having it though. He said it was ambitious, that's for sure, but apparently okay, and made it clear they'd be discussing it at the driver's briefing in Qatar. Lawson did apologise afterwards, said he should have braked earlier, but Oscar had to fight through that chaos and eventually found his rhythm once he got into clean air. Now, about those disqualifications. The FIA checked the top 10 cars for plank and skid block wear, which is normal procedure, though there's no concrete rule on how many they check. In Brazil, they looked at 7 of the top 10. In Vegas, they checked all 10. And both McLarens failed. We're talking millimetres here. The regulations say the skid blocks can't wear down more than 1 millimetre, and McLaren breached that limit. The team's now investigating why it happened, because they absolutely cannot afford this again in Qatar. What's interesting is that back at the United States Grand Prix in October, both McLarens didn't complete more than one corner in the sprint after Piastri ran into Norris. That loss of data meant they ran the car higher than optimal, lost performance, and Verstappen comfortably won that race. So there's this constant balancing act. Run the car too low, you risk disqualification. Run it too high, you lose pace. McLaren's walking a tightrope here, and one tiny miscalculation in Qatar or Abu Dhabi could cost them everything. The good news for McLaren is that Qatar and Abu Dhabi are relatively smooth compared to Vegas, so porpoising shouldn't be as much of an issue. But even a tiny built-in margin of extra ride height could be the difference between winning and losing in a championship fight this tight. And just for context on how chaotic Vegas was, Charles Leclerc had his own nightmare with Ferrari strategy. Started 9th, fought his way up to 6th, with what he described as pushing 200% the whole race. He got undercut by both Antonelli and Piastri. Ferrari didn't respond, and he ended up baffled by his own team's decisions. He had to take massive risks overtaking because the SF25 was painfully slow in the straights with their high downforce setup. Could have been a podium after the McLaren disqualifications, but instead he's left scratching his head, wondering what his strategists were thinking. So where does this leave us? Norris is 24 points clear with 58 points available. Oscar and Max are level. McLaren says they won't play favourites, citing 2007 when they let Hamilton and Alonso fight it out and lost to Kimi Raikkonen. Zak Brown's on record saying he'd rather lose the championship to Verstappen than back one driver over the other. But can they really hold that line when Oscar's within a race win of Lando and Max is mounting the greatest comeback in F1 history? For Oscar, this is actually the best possible scenario. He's not chasing two drivers anymore. He's level with one and only 24 points behind his teammate. The pressure's all on Lando now, who's never been in this position before in F1. One mistake, one DNF, one poor weekend, and suddenly this championship is wide open. And Oscar? He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. What do you reckon then? Can Oscar actually pull this off and snatch the championship from his own teammate? Or will Max complete the most insane comeback ever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's have a proper discussion about it.